What's going on today?
Hey Scott, not a lot, thank you, buddy. Hi Jamie, how are you?
Andy, I'm good. Hello to everybody out there.
Okay, you're not sounding too bad. Jamie, his headset broke today, so he's kind of on a different mic, so we'll have to may have to bear with him a little bit. But you know what, Jamie doesn't sound that bad. So,
Excellent. All right, very good.
all right, guys, thank you for joining us today. This is the Trading Studio. My name is Andy, and that is Jamie and Scott. We're gonna dive crazy day today, man. I got a lot to say about it, and we'll see maybe some warning signs, but it's pretty wacky out there right now. But anyway, let's dive into the disclaimer first. We'll get to all that coming up. We are content publishers, guys. We this is for educational purposes only. So even though Jamie and I at one time did have a Series 7 license, we let that expire a while back. So we cannot legally give you any advice when it comes to investments or anything like that. That's what we're not trying to do. So if you are looking for that type of advice, you want to seek out a registered advisor, a stockbroker, somebody who has a license and can give you that legally. All right, the agenda for today, we're going to talk about the market for sure, market recap, and Holly recap. A couple of, man, 2 or 3 really good trades in Holly today, and about an even split. A lot of trades today, which we haven't seen this many in a while, but about an even split between wins and losses. Wacky market, I can understand why, but boy, there was a couple of good ones that would have paid for those losers 3 times over. So Jamie will talk about those, and then I'm going to talk about the compare count window today versus the indices. Okay. Just some little color on the market breadth we're seeing right now. It's pretty strange. It's like I've been mentioning in the past webinars recently. You know, a lot of stuff is going into these big techs, big conglomerate, big stocks, and boy, I'm seeing some deterioration. You know, under the under the ground, if you will. But that, and then I'm going to talk about bottom fishing. I wish we had a better market to talk about this, because this may not be something with this current environment that you want to deploy, but I still want to talk about some of the things that that I do and some other good traders will do when they're looking at stocks that may be getting ready to make a trend change. I think it's a great topic, and I'll kind of hit on it today just briefly, and I'll save the topic for when conditions get better, to get more deeper and thorough into things to look for when you are looking for possible trend reversals. You know, bottom fishing is kind of a scary term for some people. Obviously, I never catch falling knives. There's things that I look for when I'm looking to maybe pick off something. And I'm not saying stocks on all-time lows. I mean, these things could just be on a 3-month low or something like that. So we'll talk about that. And of course, the price alert game I definitely had one good one in there. We'll go over the price alert game, and if we have time, we will definitely play it again. Let me back out of this. No, I can't do that. I got to first talk about the support, education, and training here. We got a big crowd in here today. I know there's a lot of new people coming in, getting ready for the test drive that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So actually less than that, about 10 days. So anyway, guys, you're going to open up, you're going to get this access to this software the Friday before. Usually about 2 hours after the close, you'll get access to it the Friday before the test drive starts. And you know, I don't want you to get blown away by what you might consider to be complexity of the product. It is very powerful, very thorough. I mean, you can do a lot of things with it, but it's very simple to use if you wish to do so, because there's a lot of pre-configured channels, alerts, scans in there for you that you can use right out of the box. And plus, we provide lots of resources for you to get help. During the test drive week, 2 weeks, we're going to have basically a support session every day, you know, every morning, you know, for an hour, for you guys to come in with any questions that you might have. Not only that, there's going to be Barry's trading room that you can also, now he'll be real busy during test drive in there, so you guys take it easy on him. You'll probably want the best places to come see us, but we'll talk more about that as the test drive gets closer. But yeah, the trading room is a great place to ask questions, especially after maybe the first couple of hours of the day when things kind of slow down, things aren't moving. We have uh, webinars every day at 5 Eastern, 5 Eastern time. That's usually a combination of myself, Jamie, or Steve, juggling the responsibilities there. But on Wednesday, we get our CEO, Dan Merkin, and our CTO, Brad Williams. Great place to come. They're always good about showing you little bells and whistles that are coming around the corner. And also, support webinar, every Friday at noon Eastern time. Okay, be sure to come in. That's a live stream. I'll flip over to the next slide so you guys can see more information about that. But it's our daily support session. This is the best place to come for Q&A. And the reason it is because we have a visual, it's a live stream, and you can find it right here at trade-ideas.com/live. And we open it up for about an hour, and great place to come for questions, guys. All right, let's back out now, and I will save that for Scotty, and we will pull up the SPYs here and take a look at the market. First, I want to take a look at the intraday. Let me take this post-market data off. And wow, boy, just almost a perfect V there, guys. I mean, we just gap up, sell off, crash through yesterday's close, and then, like I said, almost a perfect V. We'll see what happens. I tell you, in the daily, you look at the daily and everything just looks fine, but bounced right off the 10-period moving average today. And like we've seen in many cases, you get buy the dip. We're just really conditioned to do this. At some point, it's not going to happen. I saw a lot of damage being done, and I'm going to show you proof of that here coming up in a minute. I mean, I'm talking about the market would be basically flat, and the stocks are just getting crushed. 5 to 7, 8%, moves, and we're seeing a lot of that lately. And I know if you're an active trader, you're probably seeing it in a lot of positions that you hold. I know I'm seeing it, and it makes it tough. But it's just the market we have right now. It feels like to me that there's, a few big ships out there that are kind of moving, to say tugging this market along in the direction it wants to go. But like I said, you open up the hood and there's some damage being done, and so I don't know how long we can keep it up, but well, until it'll end when it ends. But nonetheless, we're going to talk about that coming up here. But other than that, if you're just looking at the daily, you're thinking, wow, nice tail there, bouncing right off the fast line and basically closing at all-time highs again. So, on the surface, if you're just looking at this daily there, like I said, there's no bear case whatsoever. But some interesting stuff that I'll be showing you after Jamie gets through with the recap, the Holly recap. Let's take a look at the Qs real quick. Not as much strength there. Didn't close anywhere really near their highs. Probably Apple had something to do with that. Apple tried to gap up this morning and could not hold, and pretty much ugly kind of day there in Apple. Even though it pretty closed basically flat on the day, it's still, when you have a gap like that. We'll see what it means. Tomorrow this thing could be back at all-time highs. That's the kind of craziness we're seeing in the market. And if you don't believe me, just take a look at Juniper. Okay, Juniper had earnings at the close of this day right there. Okay, yesterday tried to gap up, really ugly day, sold off all day when the market was pretty stable, and then gaps up today and goes back, to highs the day after, the day after earnings. But anyway, just some crazy stuff out there. But when I see things like that, it kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit. But hey, if you're if you're just a kind of a position trader and you're trading maybe some moving averages like this 50, it bounced right off that 50 yesterday. But that was interesting, seeing more stuff like that. Real quick, let's take a look at the IWM. See, it held up and it kind of looks basically like the Qs does. So, Jamie, I don't think there's, like I said, when you look at what's on the surface here, it just looks like just a crazy still bull market. But man, I saw some weird stuff today. And I'm sure you do too, because we trade at the same account, and I hope I didn't lose Jamie.
No, I'm here, and
Oh, okay.
yes, lots of strange things afoot in the market today,
Hmm.
and the prior week or two.
Yep, that's true. All right, Jamie, if you want to take it over, obviously there's a lot for you to go. If you just want to hit on a few, that's fine. Because I know there's a lot of trades in there today. Don't feel like you have to, hash through all of them, but whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, just 1 second, Annie. I was trying to
Okay,
drop
no
a link
problem.
in there for the AI strategy descriptions for Felix. There we go. For some
Okay,
reason, my control key was not functioning.
okay.
Okay. All right. Let me grab the screen here. And am I coming through okay on audio?
Uh-huh. Not
Okay.
bad.
Uno momento. All right. There we go. Should have eyes on my screen now.
Got it.
Okay, so wow, look at all the trades that the AI kicked out today. If we just kind of glance over here at the channel bar, 10 from 1.0, Holly 2.0 kind of being the quiet one today, only kicking out 2 signals, and Neo kicking out 8. So we had 20 signals today, which, we were all commenting earlier going, wow, AI's not wasting any time today. And I was kind of having a chuckle earlier, Andy, because we all know what the AI did yesterday. It had some pretty good trades,
Hmm.
and then boom, just came out firing on all cylinders today. I'm like, hey, kind of reminds me of me sometimes. When you get overconfident after a good day, you might do a little bit of over trading. And then things improved over the day. But as you can see, fair number of stop outs down here. And regarding the three things that I typically like to cover, one of those things being trade arounds, which is when we see a stop out occur, how does the stock act around the stop outs? Well, we can kind of gauge that right now by looking at these totals here in the aggressive column. They're all well past $100, which is what my risk is per trade here, right? All with the exception of these two right here. And when we look at these stocks, we just don't really see a whole lot of opportunity around those stop areas. Here's the example of Intel right here. Once it got through here, did that stop area act as a pivot? Not really. I wouldn't feel too comfortable with all these tails, and we had a big move down. Of course, it finally reclaimed it, but that's not typically what we want to see. We want to see a little bounce off of this pivot area here, maybe a wick down below it, but not spending too much time, hemming and hawing around that stop area. So there aren't really any good examples of trade arounds today. But as far as conservative versus moderate spread here, we got a couple of good ones to look at, along with some really great add-on opportunities on how you could have leveraged these ones that did do what they were supposed to today. So let's just take a peek here at the first one, Pixie. All right. Just a lot of beautiful things about this signal and the other characteristics that accompanied the signal that was brought to us by the AI right here at 268. And that was pretty shortly, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, right about an hour into the open, actually 48 minutes looking at the time over here. But wow, what a beautiful statistically weighted entry coming to us from Holly here, with the potential for that secondary opening range breakout to occur, which it did right here. So if we're in the trade with Holly here, this would have been a great time to add to that position as that nice tame opening range break gets broken. And then we can just see it was off to the races. Now you had a nice opportunity up in this area to take some profits, but even if you didn't, you had another one towards the end of the close. So yeah, sitting a little bit of pullback if you sat in this one all day, which is never a lot of fun. But the bottom line is, man, that secondary pattern unfolded. We had statistical probability. And then, oh, how was the volume in Pixie today? As you can see here, closed pretty dang strong, almost 68 on the relative volume scale. So we had those three factors that I like to showcase for that 3-star trade. Statistical probability, first one, potential for that secondary, rather simple pattern to play out, which it did, all with accompanying raging volume. So, you know, we see this time and time again, and that was a beautiful trade in Pixie. You're going to see pretty much more of the same in the tap trade, you know. And by the way, you know, forgot to mention, Holly punched out for a flat on that Pixie. And if we just kind of circle back around here, you know, just because the thing's going sideways and edging down a little bit. And of course, we all know, maybe you new people aren't aware of this, but the AI is not the greatest position exiter, okay? The strong suit for the AI is the statistically weighted entries that we have here. So not really a whole lot to get scared about and, you know, punch out of the trade. We just had to let nature take its course and be a little patient. Okay, now onto the tab. Similar, okay? Holly punching out of this one for a profit save again. At least she gets a little bit out of there. Punches out for $100. And by the way, all the values that you see in these columns are based around me risking $100 per trade. So not a bad exit for 1R in conservative, but all we had to do as well on this trade is be a little patient because we had the same factors show up. Now, at the end of the day, how was the volume in cores? 2.54, not off the charts like we saw in Pixie, but a lot of the times, anything above 1 on the relative volume scale is enough to get the job done. So once again, an early signal here with that statistical probability being brought to us by the AI, and then a little run up, a little pullback, but once again, we get that opening range break again. So right here would have been a great time to add to that position. So once again, a 3-star trade in a sense of volume, statistical probability, potential for a secondary pattern to unfold, and you could enjoy adding on here for the rest of the day. And this one held up pretty strong. So pretty big difference between $100 and about 3.4 times that, just being patient and identifying the proper time to potentially add on to that position. Now, we still have to talk about this one. Not a lot of spread here in the OCUL, and that's fine. Holly did pretty good on this one, getting that 2R, but that was because the target was hit, all right? And that's what targets are out there for, just like stop loss. If it gets to that level, we're gonna take it. Now, the opportunity here, give me 1 second here, ladies and gents. The opportunity here came in the form of the add-on, all right, which was right here at this level. So once again, we had a nice little run up, a little flagging action. AI brings it to us before with that statistical probability, but then what happens in the next 2 bars? We get the same pattern unfolding. We got raging volume, finishing off at 14.62. So a great time to add to this position would have been right here as that opening range break. It got through there, and then just a nice grind on up into the close. And by the way, notice that all 3 of these trades, that 10 period was pretty much in control most of the day. Pixie got a little bit bleedy, but reclaimed it by the close. Tap, sticking to it like glue, and also OCUL doing the same thing with that really nice add opportunity playing out there as well. So those were my 3 favorite trades with that conservative and moderate spread with a little bit of add-on opportunity there, Andy.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have little tiny bits of spread here and there. And, you know, hey, honorable mention here on the, let's see, the HOLX. Not really any good add opportunities though, but it was just a nice grind down. All we had to do was be patient on this one. Never got close to the stop level. But other than that, that's pretty much where all the spread dissipates from conservative and moderate there, Andy, unless there's any other things that you'd like to Any other symbols that I may have missed here that you
No,
might?
no, I think you covered it really well. What I'd like to point out there is that's a great example of you don't have to have a great winning percentage strategy. It's all about Holly's really good at showing us how we cut our losers and we let our winners run. So you can look right there. It's about an even split of winners and losers, but look at the top three. Actually, top four winners compared to obviously if you cut your losses, they're all going to be $100. But so that's what trading is all about, guys. And Holly, it can be a really good coach when it comes to discipline.
Yeah, and this is kind of typical of a statistically weighted blotter. Yeah, you're gonna have your losers because that's part of the game. Of course, I would be remiss if I just didn't back it up. Let's just take a peek at yesterday's really quick here. Now, this was kind of anomalous yesterday because
Yeah,
look at all the winners and only 2 losers. And, if it was like that every day, hey, that'd be sweet. But we all know as traders, that's just not the case. This one, a lot more losers, but still in the end, net green profitability.
yeah, good stuff, Jamie.
All right, let me kick the can back over to you, Andy. There you
All
go.
right, thank you. And yeah, as far as swing opportunities, that is basically subjective. I think it's it's how you feel about it. These ideas obviously have to close at the end of the day. We basically do that. We're hoping to have some swing trading strategy soon, but you can look at a lot of these charts and just kind of use your you know use your brain. I mean, if you're a swing trader and you like to set up and you think there's going to be more room to move, hey, go ahead and hold it for a few days. I mean, it's I think if more people would look at trading as every trade is a position trade. In other words, you're positioning yourself for a good profit, and in other words, a good profit to risk ratio. If you looked at every trade like that, and then you could pretty much fit it into any time frame you want to. You could day trade it, or you may say to yourself, hey, this has room to run. Let the market dictate how long you're going to hold a trade. If you are a swing trader. Now, obviously, if you're a day trader, you just got to get out by the end of the day. But if you want to swing trade, hey, yeah, let the market. I do that all the time. I'll have some examples of stocks that I'm in right now that if they work, I'm probably gonna hold them for maybe a 15, 20, 25% gain. If they don't, I'm gonna probably end up getting out for maybe a 3 to 5% loss. So let's just move into what I'm going to talk about. Oh yeah, I wanted to let me. And Jamie, does your compare accounts, are they pretty close to what mine are representing here? I
Let's
can't remember.
see. It looks like you
I'm
got
not.
the 5.4 on the market cap,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be very similar because I believe on the one that I like to watch. I got a minimum market cap of 4 billion, but they're
Okay.
going to be pretty similar. Yeah.
Okay. Good. No, the reason I asked because I wasn't sure. Sometimes I'll accidentally hit on a channel or something, and I was wanting to make sure I didn't lose it today at some point. But no, that sounds about right. And guys, it's really unusual for us to see a 65% downside day. What it is, this is comparing stocks that are hitting lows on, well, let's just pull up the configuration. It's probably going to be better to do it that way. So if we look at the green data, it's stocks that are hitting a new high just for today, and they are doing it on at least 1 minute volume of 3 times normal 1 minute volume. Okay, so just trying to eliminate those stocks that are not doing, just waffling around, not going anywhere. Okay, so these are probably significant moves if they're doing 3 times normal 1 minute volume. Okay, same thing for the red data. Okay, except it's a new low and we have 1 minute volume of 3 times normal. You don't have to use this, but I just like to do it just to kind of filter out the stocks that are just kind of waffling around for no reason at all. And today we had 65% of the stocks, hitting a new low versus 35%, obviously hitting a new high on the day. So that is that is significant, especially when you see that the spies were up on the day. Now, granted, there was a gap up, so that's going to kind of throw the numbers off a little bit, but still, I mean, you think when you're at all-time highs, the market closing at all-time highs, up 0.5% on the day, there would be more stocks hitting a new high versus a new low, and quite the opposite. You would expect these numbers to be flipped around. And I see now this is for big cap stocks, but I like Jamie was saying, he runs them on different market caps, and he's saying they were all about the same. And I have and I'll share this if anybody wants it. It's called Random Acts of Violence. Okay, this is something that I keep an eye on occasionally. Okay, stocks hitting new low, and not only that, guys, the stocks have to be down 2.5% from their prior day close. Okay. So big gap up today in the market. The market finished up today, and you had hundreds and hundreds of stocks hitting new lows at least down 2.5%. And trust me, I saw it on my blotter. So just a quick example. This is from today. I ran a history for today on it, and the server spat me out all the stocks, and you can see the change from the close here. Okay, uh, these are just going back about to 11 o'clock my time, so I'm on Central Time, and it says more available. So I could go into history here, and I can click more, and it's going to give me a bunch of other stocks that were getting clobbered today, down 3-4%, just getting beat up. And look, there's still more available. So you can see here, guys, there were hundreds of trades, hundreds of stocks just getting pounded today. And that's why I said, when you look under the hood, the strength that you're seeing on these major indices is definitely not reflecting the overall market conditions as we see it right now. Okay, you got big major companies that are basically leading the way, and everything else is really not doing very well at all, if I should say. I mean, it's just, we'll have to see how this kind of works itself out. Amazon crushed it. They're gapping up after hours. So, are they just going to see the same thing tomorrow? Just the big, Amazon, Google's, Apple didn't do all that great today, but are they? And there's other industries as well, guys. Don't get me wrong. You got the home builders. You got the financials are doing good again. Oil stocks are kind of on the move, even though they're not, at all-time highs, nowhere near it. Uh, but anyway, I find that interesting, guys. And there was another thing I was looking at today, and I can't remember it, but just keep that in the back of your mind, because I don't know how we can continue to levitate, if we're not going to get some more, market participation other than, some of this stuff that is just, really surging and moving the market higher. But all right, I'm going to move on to the bottom fishing. I just kind of wanted to point that out, guys, so you can be on your toes. We are at all-time highs. If you're loaded up, you might want to start thinning out. Obviously, we've come a long ways this year already, so yeah, we have an environment that is conducive to inflating assets, but the music is going to stop at some point. We just don't know when. So I just want you to be prepared that I'm seeing some music stop for a lot of stocks out there. All right, let me jiggle some windows around here, because I do want to talk about. And Jamie, just stop me if I have a question. I do want to talk about bottom fishing. Okay, and guys, like I said, I was hesitant to even talk about this today, because there's certain times when strategies work, and this is probably not the best time for this strategy. Okay, I'm in a few of these trades, and I'll show you today. But one thing I do like about it, and there's definitely some rules that have to apply for me to have a reason to bottom fish. And like I said, a lot of these charts, they're not bottom fishing in a sense that they're on their all-time lows. They're bottom fishing in a sense that they've had a huge pullback and are starting to flatten out, and maybe they could still be 30% off their all-time lows. That's fine. I'm just looking for pullbacks and maybe a trend change possible. Okay, so first of all, the main thing I'm looking for stocks that have been basing over time. Okay, and that usually for me it's about a month to 2 months. And I think the trade of the week is probably a good example. I'll have some other ones because I am in this one, but BLDR was our trade of the week. Okay, and this is a great example of a stock that has been basing. Okay, it's pulled back basically 50% from its from its high back 5 months ago. And as you can see here, this is what we call kind of a base here. We've been kind of picked a low right there, and now for about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, almost 2 months actually, it's been kind of going sideways. Okay, so it's putting in a nice little base down here for a potential move out of this base and moving higher. So a lot of times in my early days where I'd make the mistake is I would pick a stock that may have only bottomed out and was moved sideways for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. It appears to me the best ones are the ones that kind of take some time. So in other words, right here, a person may be inclined to jump in, it's going to bounce and got slapped back down. Okay, maybe right here you try it again, slapped back down. But now it seems like to me the magic number typically is for me is about 6 weeks, 6 weeks or longer, maybe 6 weeks to 2 months when you start maybe getting that move. And this is a great example. And I'll show you a couple more here in a minute. Let me get me a drink of water real quick. Okay. Another thing I like to look for is flattening. First, I'd like to see the flattening of the 10 and 20 period moving average. And typically, a good sign is when that 10 period moving average, and let me just go ahead and make this big so you guys can see it. There we go. And especially I like when the 10 period moving average crosses over the 20. And you can see here when that happened, this started to slowly start moving up. And once again, I want to warn you guys that these are not working real well right now because of the reason I just mentioned a few minutes ago. Like it seems like to me the big boys are the ones moving this market around right now. So be careful applying this strategy. But when they are working, they can do very, very well. Okay. And so this is a great example of your moving averages coming down, diving, flattening out along with the price. Obviously, what's making this happen is what I just expressed. It's basing over time. Okay, so you're going to see these moving averages flatten out, and then you're going to maybe start seeing them curl up. Okay, that could be a great key that, hey, maybe this stock is about to turn around. Another important thing you have to do, if you're a day trader, if you're a very active trader, this might not be for you because you have to be very patient with these trades. Okay, a lot of times they will not go when you think you're going to do. For that reason, what I typically do will buy 1/3 size and sometimes maybe even a quarter size. Buy small size. Okay, commissions are basically free these days, so you can always add to your position. Because what you don't want to do is come in here on this day right here, woohoo, we're turning around, and buy 100% of your position only to get slapped down and bail out right here only for it to bounce the next day. Trust me, if you load up when you think it's going to go, you're probably going to get, wiggled out. Sometimes I may be in these things for a couple of weeks, with 1/3 size. You can always add, and a lot of times I don't want to go there. Let me just go on to my next topic because look for entries. You can look for entries on pullbacks a lot of times at the 10 SMA, okay? Because these things, what will happen is a lot of weak hands will be shook out, just like I showed you right here. You know, you may think you're going to have a pop, and well, look how many times this thing came back down after it got above the 10 period moving average and came back and touched it again. Almost, look at that. So a lot of times what you can do if you're wanting to make a 1/3 entry in these things, put you a price alert down at the 10 period moving average. Okay, that can be a great place to take your initial position instead of chasing it up here. Okay, because like I said, these things, there will be a lot of head fakes, and sometimes these things, you know, take time. And a lot of times you will, if you do kind of chase, you'll find out, hey, I could have bought it back on a pullback near its moving average later. So keep that in your back of your mind. Remember, they're in a downtrend, okay? And just because you get a little green pop one day does not mean that trend has changed. No, it takes time. And I would love to see this VLDR, you know, finally dig in here and see this 50 period maybe turn around and kind of force the action along with the 10 and the 20. So that is a key. And one other thing, okay, guys, remember this strategy. The stocks are in a downtrend, even though they're possibly reversing, changing that trend, they're in a downtrend. So your win rate on something like this is not going to be very good. Okay, you're probably going to have more losers than you're going to have winners. The good thing about this, okay, is your profit to loss is going to be really, really good. Okay, if you're looking to take profits early, that's probably not the strategy. You might as well go find something you can scalp on strength. Okay, if you're looking to do something like this, I'm usually looking for probably, you know, anywhere from a, you know, 20 to 50% and maybe even 100% move in a lot of these stocks. Uh, okay, so that being said, if I take a third of a position, I'm fine, you know, with having a maybe a 5 to, no, even more than that, maybe even a 10% stop loss on something like this. Whereas if I'm playing strength, my stop loss may be 3%. I know I'm only taking a third of a position, and I know if I win, I'm going to hit this thing probably for about, you know, anywhere from 30% higher. All right, so keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, it's not about win rate. Okay, it's about your winning. I'm sorry, yeah, your winning percentage. It's not about that. It's about, you know, the what you're going to win versus what you're going to lose. So you got to keep that in the back of your mind. Now let's look at a couple of trades that I've been in for a while. Okay, and trust me, I'm not that excited about them. I just because I know what I'm dealing with in the market. Uh, but let's see here. Well, I went over VLDR. Plug is one that I've been in from this day right here. Now I was probably a little bit early on this one, okay, but for me, the basing, even though it kind of took a dive out right there, you know, it's still been kind of basing here, you know, for about 6 weeks, even though it's, you know, a little bit lower right there. But what made me got in this, and the reason I probably got in a little bit early, was this day right here, you know, this bullish engulfing candle. I like that right there. And then when it popped above the 10 period, I think I got in this thing around 28.30, 39, I believe. So I'm basically about flat in this thing, but I'm trying to be patient because once again, it's, hold on, let me zoom out here. You know, it's finding, it's had a huge drop, and if I feel like the, you know, the 10 period's turning, if I could just get this thing right here to hold like it has the last 2 days. Today was kind of scary. I don't like seeing action like this, but this is when you have to tell yourself, I'm not day trading. I mean, the thing was trading above at 30.50 this morning. This was very difficult to take, and I did not like it, but I did not get in and out. And the reason I didn't, I'm not going to get married to this intraday stuff. I'm playing the daily. Not that excited though, just because I know what the market's happening here. So I would like to see this, you know, definitely hold this 10 period moving average, but I am, you know, ready to pull the trigger if on a stop if I can. And what I'll do is, this one already went off. I will set a target right there if it goes off again. Another one. Now this is not real that much of a bottom fish. It's Tiger. Okay, a little China stock that. Let me get rid of some of these things. Okay, So to me, you had, once again, a nice little, even though you had a little dip down here, the thing has still been basing for quite a long time here. Okay. And nice base, even though this thing is not far, from all-time highs. If it gets out of this range, it could move really quickly. I know that. But this is one I'm in. I bought on this day, and once again, I bought. Let's see. I can look at the intraday. I'm actually a little bit underwater in this one too, but not much. But once again, look here. It's above the 50, just like that VLDR. It's holding the 50 now. Tried this like 3-4 days now. It's stayed above this 50 period moving average. The intraday was ugly today. Let me show you. It's hard to stomach this, but you got to tell yourself, I got in here for reasons that are based upon the daily chart here, and I'm not going to get out just because I'm getting an intraday, drive down. But once again, another good idea of a chart that is in the lower portion of its 3-month range, but it's showing signs of basing and maybe coming out of it. All right. So all that being said, guys, let me. I'm not real excited about these trades only because I'm not seeing it right now in this strategy. Okay. I took these trades when, you know, when I felt like maybe, the stronger stocks were going to pull some of these beaten up ones, out of the uh, abyss. But hey, I'm not seeing it right now. I see continued strength going in these mega stocks, these strong Apples, Googles, Amazons, Facebooks. So, until I see something change, I'm not that excited. I tell you what I'd like to see if we do get a pullback in the market. Sometimes this window right here is one of my favorite ones, because what you'll see is you'll get a big heavy pullback in the market, and then all of a sudden this thing will start populating, and that tells me these things are showing relative strength even though they've been beaten up pretty good. So uh, that's the time I like to look at it. So I gave you some ideas, and like I said, I'll hit on this further once I've seen it. uh, I did a webinar probably about 8 months ago where there were stocks just, these were really paying big, man. And right now, I'm just not seeing it. So we'll see if that changes. All right, Jamie. Let me see. Did I miss anything, buddy? Did you handle it all?
I think I'm keeping up with the questions pretty
Okay,
well. If I did miss somebody, just go ahead and resubmit it, but I think we're all caught up.
there you go. All right, so guys, I just wanted to show that to you because some of my better trades come off this strategy, and I just don't want everyone to feel. People always say buy stronger stocks and sell them higher, buy high stocks or buy strong stocks on pullback. I'm not seeing a whole lot that's working right now, and uh, including this strategy, but things may change. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But uh, anyway, it's a nice little, you know, tool to have, a little strategy to have, when you're looking. And this revenue growth fishing, which you do have access to, can be found in the Trader's Vault. So if you go to the Trader's Vault, you have access to this revenue growth fishing. Which, by the way, look at this beauty. Now this one right here, this is this is a great one. This one right here was on this day right here. You would have found this in revenue growth fishing. And look what happened after this. Of course, I didn't buy that one, of course, but that's usually the way it goes. All right. Yeah, thank you, George. I'm gonna try to hang in on Tiger. All right, let's take a look, guys. You know what? It's getting kind of late. I rambled on more than I probably needed to on that subject. So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna go over the price alerts, and then we're gonna give it a break. I think right now it's really sloppy, and just not seeing a whole lot. Hope you guys will forgive me, but let's take a look at what we had last week. And I think we need a little break because our picks kind of we used to have a lot more submitting price alerts, but last week we only had about 8. Or am I missing some? No, I haven't. The big winner, guys, was George. George Young with Playboy. Oh, and that was the alert was at 43. And now it is trading at 48.50. So that is almost a 13% gain there in Playboy. George is playing the strength, playing the momentum, and that was a good one. We had a few others that were just marginal. Daniel with Snap, small gain there. Let's see, a lot of them are still working, looks like. Vincent had almost a 3% gain there in Skittles. And am I missing something here? That's about it. Snap. No, Paul and Atker had a nice little, let's see, looks like about almost a 2.5% gain there. Looks like it's more on here, but I guess that's where it triggered up there. Yeah, George playing the decadent stock. All right, let's. I'm gonna bring Scott in, guys. Like I said, it got later than I want to because it usually takes about a good 10 or 15 minutes sometimes to do these price alerts, depending on the number of people who play. So, guys, that's going to be it for today, unless Jamie has anything else to add, and I will bring Scott in here.
All good over here, Captain.
All right, thank you.
Great. All right. Yeah, thanks everyone. Couple items on the way out. Go ahead and grab that earnings ebook. It's got some great ideas about how to manage your earnings season. So go to trade-ideas.com/earnings, put in your email address to get that download. Also got big news, test drive coming up in a couple weeks, starting on the 10th, actually a little bit, just over a week. 2 full weeks of Trade Ideas premium features you can explore for $8.99. We charge that just to make sure that we have the available support and data for everyone. It lets you try Trade Ideas premium features, including the backtesting module, the odds maker, all the AI stuff, the ability to auto trade using AI strategies on E-Trade or Interactive Brokerage, all that premium features. Just go to trade-ideas.com/test drive to learn about it. Also, anyone participating in the test drive is also eligible to win a free year of Trade Ideas Premium with all the extras or another prize. There's a podcast. We had a new episode up recently with David Afariat. Search for Trade Ideas Podcast wherever you listen to your pods and add us as a subscription. You'll be ready to pick up that episode and whatever we release next. The archives are good too. And the code Maydays. If you want to start a subscription today, grab that code, saves you 15% off your first month or year or upgrade. And thanks everyone. You can find Jamie on Twitter at QuantBot. We've also got @Trade Ideas. Our Steve Gomez is TISTG. Trade Ideas Pro is the Facebook handle, so like that page and share what we post with your friends. And info@tradeIdeas.com is the correct place to send all your questions. That's our support email. The recording of this will be available to you all tomorrow, so stay tuned for an email from GoToWebinar with some details on how to find it. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Jamie. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody. I'll see some of you tomorrow in the support webinar.
Adios.